Hey, what's up, Buck fans? Again, welcome to another great night of the Bucks Report, the aftermath on 102.9 Game Broad Street South Radio. It's your boy AJ Turnup. We're going to get ready to talk about a lot of good things. We got a few more picks in the free agency that we picked up. We're going to talk about the depth pieces. And then one of the main events that we're going to talk about tonight is some of the best defensive players in football that are better than Aaron Donald. So stay tuned, get your ass together, get straight, and enjoy the show.
Is a fumble. It does not look like he crossed the plane. 6. Mayfield to the end zone. Evans.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Again, thank you again for tuning in onto the aftermath on 102.9 The Game Broad Street South Radio. It's your boy AJ Turnup in the house, and our British guy who's always fly on standby, Coach Slick, will be joining us soon. I hope you guys are doing all right. Thank you again for tuning in. And shout out to Christopher Cole. Evening. What's up with you, man? I hope you're doing all right. So for a lot of Bucs fans, let's get ready. Let's just get down to it. Again, we're talking about the Buccaneers and the free agency, and they have made splashes. The Bucs did their – first of all, we've already won the simple fact that we got – the best players back. Mike Evans, Baker Mayfield, Levante David. Now we're going to be working out a deal for Antoine Winfield and Tristan Wirfs, which I do like. So we're keeping the nucleus, team together. We picked up a couple of linemen from the Eagles, the Giants. So we've been picking up depth. That's one thing that I can say that I do like what Jason Light has done. So Buck fans, don't fret. The players that we picked up, you might not really know them, but the one thing that I do like about Light, being a former offensive player, lineman of him as he was, he knows how to pick certain players that fit the role. And I honestly think this year coming up, especially during the mini camps, they're going to be doing a lot of evaluation of linemen. And there he is, my main man, Slick. What's going on, sir? How you doing?
I'm doing good, brother. I'm doing good.
That's good, man. We're just sitting here chopping it up, just talking about – I was just getting in on the little pieces that we have picked up on the line in free agency from the Giants and the Eagles. I just think in a way Light is actually – I have a feeling the guard and the center position this season is going to be a battle. I think Light is going to be like, may the best man win.
So you don't think I think he's going down to the pass rusher aisle for the first round pick for the first rounder then?
Mm-hmm. It's either this. I think Light is going to do something that I know a lot of people think that he doesn't do, but he has. He might move up. He did move up to get Wirfs, so I wouldn't be surprised if that third.
It depends on what the cost is, isn't it? Really, that's what it eventually comes down to. If the cost is willing, if you think this person's, it depends on your draft board, yeah. So your draft board, you'll have who you think you can pick in that area. There'll probably be 5 to 10 people in that ballpark. If we get to here, this is where we want to be. If your picks are starting to count down and there's like only 2 of them left, and you've still got like 5 people in front of you, you go, right, we got to just go and get somebody because we might get to our pick and we ain't got nobody, so we got to go do something. And I think that's how it kind of works.
Mm-hmm.
Or someone slides and they go, okay, this completely changes our draft.
Mm-hmm. The reason why I say that, though, that third pick, I don't know why, that third pick that we got with Carlton Davis, that's going to serve us somehow. that could be the little piece where, hey, we'll move up, guys. We'll give you, hey, because Slick, you know this as well. What if we can get a pass rusher that is going to be an immediate starter, an immediate upgrade that's going to further help Yaya, Cansey, Vita. And again, they're going to be average to let's say they have to an average above average season where they get between 7 to 9 sacks. What if they
rookie? That's very unusual.
It's very unusual, but let's say that happens.
That's well past rookie of the year material.
Hey, the way Light is, I believe in Light. So that's what I'm saying. That kind of pick, I wouldn't mind saying, you know what? We'll give up a second and third for that. I would not mind that, because we still got that extra third round. Because now, again, a lot of people are agreeing with Slick and I, guys. Again, you guys got to continue to watch Coach Slick. And again, check him out on It's About Buck and Time. Give Coach Slick an opportunity. His accolades speak for itself. The reason why I say that, Slick, people are hearing us. A lot of people are like, you know what, AJ? You and Slick are right. I wouldn't go after a lineman in the first round. How many times have we said that, Slick? You find good linemen in the second, third,
sure.
round.
You can find a starting center and guard in the second round. We've done it many a times, and they've been decent starters. Let's go with Cody Mark. We're seeing the build-up of him. He's a second round pick. Now, the jury's still out on him because it's only 1 year.
Yep.
Did we go down the route of one of our most famous ones in Ali Marpet? Second rounder, I believe.
Yes.
Second rounder. He might even be third. No, we traded back into the second to get him, didn't we?
Yes.
Don't be surprised if that's what the Buccaneers do. Use one of those third round picks and a fourth or something else to go back into the day two. Because day two, you're really clever. You can walk away with starters. So you could completely revamp an offensive line or a D tackle, the corners, a depth safety that's going to rotate in. Those are the kinds of players that you can go get in those rounds. So if you want to solidify let's say for the sake of argument, they go pass rusher with the first pick. They go center with the second pick. Then they leverage one of their third round picks and something else to go back into either a high third or a low at the middle of day two. So like the end of the second, and they go and get another pass rusher or a D tackle ready to rock and roll. And that's the kind of stuff that I wouldn't be surprised that they do, because that's something that he's done in the past. He does like to play in data. I think that's where the Buccaneers do their most creative in trading. If the Buccaneers are like on the prefaces, it's their pick next, and the there's a team 2 or 3 in front of them, and there's a guy they want in the first round. They may mortgage one of those picks to go leverage one of those picks to go and get him. But I don't think they're going to make any big moves in round one, because it costs a lot to move in round one.
It does. It
costs a lot. Moving in round one is massive. I read a book once. I can't remember what the book was called. It was basically the team had followed the Ravens around. I can't remember what the book was called. A report. It's kind of like Hard Knocks, but a written novel, right?
Yeah.
Following the Ravens.
Yeah.
I think in 2002 or 2003. When Deion Sanders was on the team, and he said
that was 05. You're talking about 05.
Okay. Yeah, that's okay. So he was there, and this reporter said, who was their famous coach at the time?
Brian Billick.
Brian Billick said, moving in the first round is like trying to take someone's daughter. It just doesn't happen. Nobody wants to trade away their daughter. The second and third round is where you can do the more playful stuff. You've got to offer them arms and legs, blood, and your daughter's virginity or some shit. You've got to offer something of massive value.
Yes, you're going to sacrifice a lot of things, like you said in the first round. And he's right. Buck fans, we would have to and it's also about position. Buck fans, we're at 26. It'd be different if the Bucks were maybe at 15, 14.
And then try and get into the top 10.
Yeah.
But then the closer you get to the top 10, the harder it is as well. So trading from 26 to 20 probably might not cost as much. But trading from 20 into the top 10 or even just 10 is huge, because you've just got to do so much.
Oh, yeah. You do that, they're more than likely you're going to have to give up a second, a third, and you might have to give up next year's second round or something to just
Sure.
you're gonna have to give up 3 rounds for that one, and you gotta hope you strike gold. And again, guys, you would that the only way to me that would be well worth it is if we get a Von Miller S type guy, and that would be the only way it would pay off. But again, as Slick would say, that's a guess. You want to stick with what you know best, and Light has a very good knowledge of that, and especially I have faith in him in drafting linemen. Light was a lineman himself. He knows how to get the guys that will slowly develop. Marpet slowly developed into one of the best damn guards in the league. I think Mock might have that same energy. Slick, I think he's going to gradually grow. But yes, if we can get an edge rusher, move up maybe 5-6 spaces where it doesn't cost so much, I'm fine with that. I was telling people though, it's the line situation that's going to be very intriguing because if we get that center, and side note, people forget we didn't draft him, but Jensen was a 6th round pick.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes with linemen, they can. It's all about development. I think, yeah, it's all about development. Yes. And sometimes it takes a year or two. Like people kind of expect players to just jump off the screen and be amazing straight away because if they're not the busts and stuff like that, it's not necessarily the case. First rounders, yeah, for sure. But I mean, I'll have a little look at Ryan Jensen while we talk. But I was just going to have a look at Pat. Seeing as we're talking pass rushers, I thought I'd go down the routes of pass rushers who were picked just 2 years ago, and we'll talk about were they worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's have a little taste. So in 2022, so this guy's had 2 years in the NFL, a year and a half. 2022. Sorry, and then have 2022 season, 2023 season. They had 2 years in the NFL. You tell me if it was worth it. Jacksonville Jaguars, Trayvon Walker, number 1 overall.
Not worth it.
13 sacks in 2 years.
Yeah.
Adrian Hutchinson, Detroit Lions, 2nd overall. A lot of love for this gentleman. Let's see what he got. 21 sacks. That was the pick. And the Jags could have made it. But he was. I remember that Adrian Hutchinson was the guy coming off the board, but the Jags went a completely different way. I'm not sure why, because I don't follow the Jags. But there you go. So let's have a look more in the later round, where we're going to pick the kind of caliber of player that you can find.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
George Karthlowis. Never heard of him.
That's the beauty of the NFL. That's the NFL in a nutshell.
16 and a half sacks ain't bad though for 2 years. 10 sacks, 6 sacks in his first season, 10 sacks in his second season. So yeah, that's solid. That's solid. That's what you want.
Yeah,
6.5 sacks in your first season, pretty darn good. It's kind of Yaya-esque. And then you go to the 10, which is the magic number for being a good sack artist, and hopefully you build on that. Let's see if we got else. We got Jermaine Johnson. The Jets took him. 10 sacks in 2 years. So he needs more development. And that's what we're trying to say here, guys, is just because you've got a legitimate cat and you think, this guy was a flyer, some players take longer to develop than others.
Yes, they do. It takes time. And you have to be and it takes patience. Players take time to develop. I think a lot of people got to understand, depending on the system, what you're used for and how you're used, it does take time. Rondé Barber's first few years, people were concerned that he wouldn't even be on the team, but Dungy and them believed in him, and they slowly figured how to use him. Great coaches know how to utilize players. Bad coaches, as Slick would say, they'll just say, well, he's not what I thought he would be. And then they throw him to they either have a shitty career or they go somewhere else and flourish. Trust me, Buck fans, we know all about that. Michael Bennett, that still haunts me. Michael Bennett would have been our Shaq Barrett if the Bucs just didn't jump the gun. Just think about that. Slick, that man Bennett went to the Legion of Boom, and he was their guy. He was their man.
They used it the right way. For
That
sure.
they use them the right way, and that shit still stings. So, Buck fans, I believe in them. And we got someone from the Titans. I forgot he was a corner, and I no, the Jets. I'm sorry, I forgot his name, guys. But guys, this is good. This is a nice pickup because the Bucs are getting depth. One thing that the Bucs want to make sure that they have is depth, because remember, Slick, 2021 when 2022 our secondary was depleted, and a lot of Buck fans, including myself, was a little impatient on why aren't we doing this? Well, he didn't have anybody. He didn't have anybody to put in. So it's always good to have when it comes to depth, you want depth, because that one guy, him coming in, could literally help keep your starter fresh and healthy. That is what we want this season. It's gonna be
like they want a bit of competition in that area. They don't want to just hand the reins to somebody. Yep. They want a fight for it, and rightfully so, because that's how you get hunger out of people. That's like, Bryce Hall. There's a lot of Bryces on the Jets, if I remember correctly, and it took me a minute going, which Bryce is it? The Bryce is right.
Yes, Bryce Hall is a good pickup. Thank you, KGH. I think that's a solid one. It's a solid one. Is he going to be make great noise? No, but he's going to be someone reliable.
Never say never though, because that's the competition. He's coming into that room going, hang on, they just got rid of a corner. There's one spot available.
Yep.
It's me. Zion McCullum so far. So, and if they draft somebody as well, they say they've used that third round pick on another corner. There's the committee. Who's going to be the top dog? Who's going to be in the doghouse?
Mm-hmm. And I like this. Christopher Cole said this. I like this. I would alternate between edge, O-line, then pick up a tight end or corner. The thing about the tight end, Chris,
we got a lot of tight ends on this team.
I think the tight end is solidified. That is my
unless there's like a freak athlete that's jumping off the screen and you go, wow, he's dropped. Or like, I can't believe he's still there. Like in a third round, then I can understand going it for it. But I think if you're going to be really smart, I wouldn't look at the tight end position, because it all depends on this. It will come down to the OC.
Yes.
If the OC is a big believer in tight ends, maybe they go down that route. But you got to remember who they got there. They got a second-year player in Lord,
Harnum. And he has potential.
Yeah, Ingram. You've got the guy who's already doing it and is already ascending every single year he's been in the last 2 years he's been in the league. Cade Otton. And then you've got the one that can't catch for shit.
Yeah,
can block like a motherfucker.
But he can block. Yes, he can block.
Oh, he can block. But then, to be fair, he has caught touchdowns. He's done the job. I think the problem is to make him a run. O'Keefe, he's just not the reliable target, but he gets lost in the wash. You don't expect him to run a route, so that's what you want. If you can develop his hands to a point where he's dangerous, but he's sure-handed, because you know that when he's going to get open, it's going to be wide open, right? It's not going to, because no one's going to view him as that passing threat. So when he comes in, it'd be like, oh yeah, he's blocking. Yeah, no one's going to pick him up. They're going to, and then he's going to be wide open. But you need to get him to a point where the easy passes just go.
And the tight end position, I think, is in another development, as you just said. I think Durham is going to get better and better in the offense and passing. And we never know what in our OC, Liam might fuck around and go to a college scheme and say, you know what, we're going to do a double tight end. And we know Durham got hands. We've seen him catch. And we know Otton is going to get better. I think
they could have a double tight end. They could go to a 22.
Yeah, man, look here, Slick. I got some ideas up here how to deal with that.
This is the thing: is you could go into a pro set. You could go to like a. You could, in theory, go to what's a 11 personnel set. Have one of them in the slot and then motion them to the tight end position, or you could you can motion them out and just play with it like that. That's how you could. That's a good way of finding out if teams are in man, zone, blah, blah, blah. That kind of stuff. So that's kind of things you want to do, especially if you've got guys who can catch.
Now, for Durham, I'd have a play for him for Durham. Man, you're going to do a simple, quick block, then roll your ass out and get that catch. And Otton the same. Oh, I'm switching back and forth. I'd be like, and then if we switch it to a play where they're now loading the Bucs, you guys are blocking now, and we're going to switch it to a run. Oh, I have ideas up here, Slick. Oh, man, that's why, Christopher Cole, thank you for that. But the tight end position, I think, is low key a slept on developing like in the rise, because we know Baker he has a repertoire with K Dot, and as we saw in Detroit, shit, if he didn't look at K
Yeah,
Dot,
you don't want to change too much of what's working wow at the moment. You want to keep as much of it the same.
That's right.
They probably did move on from Russell Gage is because they may have had a bit of chemistry in camp, but other than that, you've got nothing. So it's easy to bring someone. Don't be surprised instead of going down the tight end route, you go down the wide receiver route.
I wouldn't be surprised either. I already said 4th, 5th round. I'd get another speed guy. The reason why I say that, when you have 2 out of the world,
I go for a small slot because we don't have one. You know, like kind of Adam Humphries. I love that guy when he was on the squad. He was one of my favorite. Well, I think we got to do an episode when we called Unsung Bucs.
Oh well,
Buccaneers is that are completely underrated and don't have the draft class. They don't have anything, but they just snuck under the radar, but were low key just awesome.
They had all of this. They had that. No,
yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
Winston made a lot of people money. That's another thing a lot of people don't realize. Humphreys got a nice little check when he went to Tennessee, and also no one cared about Cameron Brate. Oh, he was just a Harvard man.
Yep.
Cameron Brate. He made Cameron Brate money. Contrary to popular belief, he helped Evans. He wasn't Brady-esque, but Evans, he kept Evans, he gave Evans statistically his best yardage season with 1,500 yards. A lot of people
had his first ever breakout 1,000-yard season with James Winston. So we know James can pass the ball. You just know he's going to put it in harm's way. That's the problem.
Exactly.
You know he's going to do that. That's the issue. It's not the fact. Like, fucking one of us would give anything to have his arm talent and his skill set, but maybe not the awareness.
He just didn't have his decision making was just butt sauce.
I think he's just I think it must be really hard to be. You can, with a quarterback like Jameis, I think you can get baited into throwing picks by making something look open. And I just put it in there. I can get it.
Or he'll force it where it's like, Jameis, did you not see the running back right there, literally, and nobody was 10 yards within him? Sometimes you just got to, for him, he likes it's all or nothing. And
he is a very all or nothing player. And I think that's why he always have a role in the league, because he can make big time throws and big time plays. The issue is you just can't trust him for an entire season.
Exactly. And you can't go wrong, Chris. You're right. It is. The wide receivers in this draft are loaded.
That's why you can get one, because you can go get one in the 3rd round and still have a solid contributor.
Mm-hmm. And you can do that. And again, if you get another speed, the reason is either you get a strong slot guy or you get another speed person, because then if our OC Liam is smart, not smart, but if he does what I hope he does, that's where the spread comes in. When you have 2 speed receivers, in my opinion, Slick, that spread makes the scheme a lot more devastating, because now you have to make an account of shit. If we somebody's going to get burnt if you don't. And then with our line coming in the way it is, again, Slick, we get a center that's average. This line is going to be a fucking problem. And the simple fact that
back it up as well.
And Baker being mobile, now a defensive, they have to worry, because let's say if they miraculously covered everybody, now Baker can just take off and get an extra 10, 15 yards. Now defense has got to go, shit, we have to account for that guy. I need you to bony up. And then, he's gonna get beat. Palmer over the top. Palmer he gets that separation and he's gone. A 60-yard bomb. Look, Palmer is going to have a breakout season. You heard it here, Buck fans. They trying to say it here.
He's pulling his big into existence.
This is why, because I think he's developing, and I think Liam is the kind of college kind of mindset where he's gonna utilize all his receivers. Palmer is going to be used a lot more heavily due to his speed, and I think he's going to be the guy where, okay, if they're going to double Evans and Godwin, Godwin's going to go off too. But hey, if they're going to be so scared of those two, Palmer, this is where you and Otten are going to come in. I think the people who are going to have like big time seasons is Palmer. I think Otten is going to get a better repertoire, and I think Durham is going to get a sleep. He's going to be the sleeper that's going to come out of nowhere. So, but again, it all depends on this line. We really gonna have to get that run game going too. How do you feel about a running back? Because I wouldn't be surprised if the Bucs took a strong, solid running back in the third or fourth round.
That's going to be the beauty of this pick. I think here's the prediction. I think everyone in Bucs Report and anyone watching, put in who you think is going to be that pick that we traded. Put it down. You don't have to put their name, just the position, because it's the conundrum. It's a bonus pick. I know we got rid of a 6 or a 5th. I can't remember what it was.
A six,
right? But those kind of players sit on your practice squad for a year. Those kind of players sit on your practice squad. If you're very lucky, they are in rotation on the main roster. Mainly, they'll either play a lot of special teams on the main roster and sit buried in their positional chart, or they will be on the practice squad for a year. Right? So you've upgraded that to a guy that could probably contribute straight off the bat. And if you were going to take your 7th round pick, maybe you can solidify that into a stronger 3rd round pick and go get someone at a higher level. But that's the real question. It's like a bonus pick of a guy who can contribute straight away. Now, tight end room is pretty decently full, unless he's not too pleased with. I mean, the difference is when you have a new OC is he hasn't worked with all these players. He'll watch the tape. He's turned on the tape. He's probably sat there and looked at all the video that there is on these guys. But there might be somebody he looks at and goes, I have him as well. That could be a 1-2 punch. And that's the same with the running back position. That's the same with the wide receiver position. That's the same with any position where we've got a little bit of depth. The start is solidified, but you could do with someone to kind of put a bit of pressure on them, or really push him, and you can put him in packages.
Agreed. And I like this. Brandon Rice. He's not that fast, but he separates like his dad. If you can get separation, that's all we care about. The speed is nice, but there are people with speed that don't know how to get separation. We love Scotty Miller, but when you put pause on Scotty, he wasn't going anywhere. So as long as we can get a receiver that gets separation, that is the priority, in my opinion. How about, do you feel that way, Slick?
Say that again, sorry.
As long as the receiver can get separation, that's all we care about. Jerry Rice wasn't the fastest, but he got separation.
I want to go down the route of looking for someone who's a little bit more scatty, someone who's a little bit more dirty, someone who's going to be a little bit more in between the in between the sticks. I don't want too many stretchers. We've got too many of those on the team already.
Gotcha.
We've got Mike Evans. He's a stretcher.
You want scrap it. I
want some scrap. I want
scrap it. I like it. See,
that's what I want.
Slick is looking for that Wes Welker energy, and I'm here for it. Wes Welker and them guys.
Go find me the fucking smallest 5 foot fucking fuck all guy who is pissed off that the league is passing him by in the 4th round, and he's like, I'm gonna make someone's day because I'm gonna deplete somebody, and if I don't deplete them, I will spend all my time trying to.
Do you remember Ricky Proehl from the Rams?
I don't remember it.
Oh man, he was on the Greatest Show on Turf. Ricky Proehl was a receiver. He is the guy that caught the touchdown that beat the Bucs in the '99 NFC Championship. That motherfucker could get open. That boy, he knew how to get separation, and he was scrappy. He was like your Wes Welkers before. He wasn't as ripped as them, but Ricky Proehl, he fucked us up. I didn't like Ricky Proehl for a long time because of that. I didn't. I had a hate for him because he scored on us, and I didn't like that shit. Proehl, but you're right. But those are diamond in the roughs, Slick, because a lot of guys nowadays are scared to take those type of hits. They don't want to get rocked like that. But that's what made Wes Welker so tough, because Wes Welker not only played with Brady, people forget he played with him with Peyton Manning in Denver. Wes Welker was a hot commodity. Was he a number 1 receiver? Absolutely not. But he was the guy that got shit done, though. Your slot receivers got to be like you said, the junkyard dog mentality. I'm going to get hit, but I'm going to catch this ball.
Chris Godwin can do it pretty well for the size that he is, and it makes him quite a dangerous slot because he's so thick and thick with 3 C's. Chris.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing about Chris Godwin His name's not even Chris. It's
What?
Rod.
Rod?
It's Rod Chris Godwin.
Rod, yeah. Rod.
Mad though. Like when you think about it, it's like Chris Godwin, and it's like I watched the thing was a wide receivers whose names aren't actually their names, and Godwin came in there, and I was like, it's called Rod. What?
Yeah, I'm not calling no man Rod, so we're gonna stick with Chris. I be like, yo, what up, Chris? I ain't gonna call him by his government name.
Rod Chris Godwin.
I ain't gonna call him Rod. I'll be like, hey, what's up, Chris? Like, I ain't calling no other girl. I'm not calling no grown man Rod, Log, anything with something that
Rod
means,
Woodson then.
that's different. You say the whole name. You say the whole name. He's never gonna be
He's not just Rod. He's Rod.
He is Rod Woodson. That is like
I love it when people tell me again, I've got a Woodson jersey. Which one? They
exactly.
just look blankly and the one on the Raiders one.
Which one? Exactly. You say Charles Woodson. When nobody says Woodson, we say Charles Woodson or Rod Woodson. But I'm never gonna just
You got to give it to Charles Woodson because two bona fide Hall of Famers, right?
Exactly. And they're and yeah, look.
You say Brady, right? It is what it is.
You don't know Manning. You know when you think of
that's fair. It's fair, man. Yeah, you say a name and it's just like, yeah, that person. You only have to say the name. But when you say Woodson, you've got to differentiate because there are two straight up ballers at that position. I mean, I believe Rob Woodson, he played corner first and then transitioned to safety. Whereas I think Charlie,
and then you go, you go to the Steel. You was a Steeler, then you go to Baltimore, and then you go to Oakland, and look. That's a month. Look, that's foreshadowing for another later topic, guys. So get ready for that shit. But we talk about football, but we want to knock out the Bucs stuff. So I want to get this out the way because here's another thing. Now that the offense back, I'm glad you brought that up with the new OC. Where do you, if you had to guess, how do you think the offense is going to be? Do you think it's going to be more area and as vertical, or do you think it's going to be a mixture of intermediate West Coast type offense?
I like a West Coast offense, but I think you've also got to have not packages, but you don't have to. You can play like West Coast underneath and then have one or two guys that go deep to travel, right? The West Coast offense does have deep roots in it, but a lot of people seem to think it's just dink and dunk. The dink and dunk stuff's usually the stuff that gets open a bit quicker because an in-breaking route, an out-breaking route, a route where you cut at a hard angle, they tend to come open a little bit quicker than the deep route. But the deep route is usually covered up by a safety 9 times out of 10 because the safety will pick it up. So there's a bit more risk, and that's why it's called the risk and no biscuit. So I want someone to exploit all the field any given time. So I like corner routes. I like comeback. Exploit the field, but they take some of those routes. They take time. You've got to accept it. But I do want a couple of plays where it is just as soon as the ball snaps, catch, throw, catch and throw, that quick.
I feel you. See, for me, you already know what type of what a lot of shit I thrive off of in my offense. You come on now, put it up. Everybody know it. Put it up. I'm gonna cross the fuck out of you because one, my duty is on offense. I want to tire your linebacking core out, not just.
I got a route for you that I think you'd like.
What's up?
I don't know what it's called in real football because I've never really checked it. A cross out. I call it a cross out. You show a cross and then you just hit and flip back out. So you start with the shallow cross and then you come back out.
Oh, I know what you mean. Yeah, I like for me,
especially if you do like a crossing route, that is your second fucking punch because they're going, it's a crossing route, we'll play this. Nah.
Yes, one of my favorite philosophy is to gas out your linebacking core because this is why I say that when you've seen this as a coach, when your linebacking core is gassed, that typically sets up better opportunities to stop the run. Because now they've been moving east and west so much, that's not their thing, and they have to overcompensate if they can't cover or they're getting beat to catch up to make a tackle. So then when the run comes, people would think, oh, well, that plays in their hands. Not if you're gassed. If you know this, if you're running from side to side for literally like 6-7 plays, it's going to affect you, not just physically, but mentally. Because now you got to get ready, or it can set up for the big pass because now you're so tired, it's going to be hard for them to recover. And I throw a dime in the middle, and a speed receiver just blows you away. That's why I like crossing routes. People think, oh, and a crossing route doesn't necessarily take time to develop. Like you just said, shallow crossings fuck a lot of people up because if you don't have a good corner that can recover and catch it and catch that receiver at that moment, that's where the yak receivers come in. As you said, Chris Godwin is one of the best yak receivers. Like him and Debo, give them a 3-yard pass, they'll turn it into 15 yards, as you said, because Chris Godwin, he has the size, but another thing that he has acceleration. He knows how to accelerate at the right time. That is,
I found that guy.
Yeah,
Malik Washington.
Ooh, fancy.
And take it. One of the fastest. He's one of the fastest in the draft. In the draft, he is athletic as fuck. He has also got last year he got 9 touchdowns, 1,400 yards for Virginia, and he is 5'8". So you know that boy can run every route in the tree,
and he can get underneath. That's another thing. A small,
and then he is down as a 3rd-round pick.
Okay.
But that's where if I'm going to go down the 3rd round, but it depends on what we do, you know.
Yes.
We can you've got to facilitate all these guys, right? The more people you add to the roster, eventually they're going to leave if they're not used. Even if you keep this guy on the roster, Mike Evans balls out.
Yes.
Everyone else balls out. You know he's not going to get fed as much in the first year. And it's hard to feed everyone. We know this because we've been there, boy. We've been there. It's hard to feed everyone. It's hard to feed. Not that you're going to get some egos or anything like that. I don't think that's going to happen. But
I don't either.
It's really hard just to try and manage it. And then you could end up having a guy who, like Malik Washington, who does 400 yards in his first season, 500 yards in his second, 600 yards, touchdowns in the 5 to between 4 and 7. Yeah. And then when it comes to contract time, they don't want to sign him because he's never done anything bigger. So he ends up going somewhere else and does bigger. But that's the problem with oversaturating one positional room because you don't get a chance to really look at them properly and if you're going to move on or not.
Oh, agreed. But you also sometimes there's that guy who's willing to say, you know what though, I am getting paid good money, and if I just ask for something that's decent, I can start winning. Because if you're on a team and you're winning and you got good chemistry, you never know. What if
the issue is if you walk away with you walk around with a Super Bowl, you go for the bag the next year. Most people do that.
You can. You absolutely can. That's very
most people don't really. But if I was going down the wide receiver route and that guy was still there, and I wanted, and I'm Cohen and Liam Cohen, and I'm looking at that, and I'm going, that could be the piece.
That could be
because add so much more because it's like that's kind of what we were hoping with Russell Gage. I mean, he's kind of I wouldn't say he's a pure slot receiver, but he's a slotty kind of guy.
Yes.
Flexing out now and again, but that was kind of the point. And I think that's what the Buccaneers need to replace. I'm not saying that's the pick. For me, I want to just make sure that we're right with pass rushers.
No.
For me, it's number one.
Of course. The pass rusher is always going to be a priority. Now, Buck fans, we have to understand this. You have to understand in the NFL draft, the pass rushers are going to be the first to go. So if you guys think you're going to get your Dallas Turners or your Jared Verses or Latu and Chris Braswell and Chop Robinsons of the world, you're reaching. That's one thing, Slick. We got to go back to what Slick said. Those first round type of picks, getting in the top 10, that's a fucking arm and a leg, and you got to also make sure you're right. Now, let's say if Light pulls the trigger and does that, we would have to hope he knows what he's doing. But like Slick, in your opinion, do you think is Jared Verse out of the question?
I need to look where he sits. To be honest, I'm just about to look at the draft class right now. To be honest,
That's Florida State territory. That's it. That's your boy, Jared Verse.
yeah, I just don't know where he'll get drafted. I haven't really looked, to be honest.
I'd say
I'm
I'd say
sleeping
he's
now.
in the top. I'd say if he's not in the top 10, Slick, he'd be right outside of that. He'd be like 12, 13 to 4, 12 to 15 range because somebody's gonna need an edge rusher.
Well,
But
someone's got who's this? NFL Draft Buzz has him ranked as the second best of his class. Positional rank number 1. Our rating, they rated him at 89.5. The person above him was an 89.6. That was the one that's got a name that sounds like you're skipping. Lalo.
yeah.
Lalo. He sounds like an Islander.
I wouldn't mind getting Chop Robinson from Penn State because they typically Chop. I like Chop Robinson.
They got Chop in the fourth. And he will have chemistry with somebody in our squad.
There it is.
You know what I'm saying? That D line would then have a little bit more teeth and there'd be a bit of cohesion there. But yeah,
that's why if Slick can pull if Light can pull the trigger, let's say Chop is there, and let's say he passes like 18, and we could get him at 20th pick, and we can move up, and we don't have to sacrifice so much. I wouldn't mind that. I do think Chop would. I think his chemistry with the Bucs would be good. Now, of course, I would love to have Jared Verse. First of all, I love Florida people, even though he's Florida State, whatever. It is what it is. When they go pro, I don't give a shit anymore. All that goes out the window. If Jared Verse could get here, that would be awesome. But Chop wouldn't be bad. Chop could get you, like you said, realistically, in a real world, between 5 to 7 sacks. That would be a winner for me. Now, if he got to 9, like you said, Slick, that's some defensive rookie of the year shit.
No,
that's Micah Parsons. That's Micah Parsons territory. So, but again, his presence could help Yaya go off, could help Canty go off. If he's just average, you just said it's like 5 to 7 sacks for a rookie on that side. That means he could be the reason why Yaya breaks double-digit sacks, get to 10 or 11. He could be that reason.
You all the other guys around him too. I'd still never sleep on the O'Connor and JTS combo because I think that is a combo because they're two different types of pass rushers, and that's what you could have if they can't get it, they'll get it by committee.
Yeah.
Right? You know, like taking Shaq out, and I know Shaq's come out and said, he wants to prove the Bucs wrong. And say, well, that's great, but you proved it, and that's great. But at the same time, like the last 2 years, I've been wanting.
You weren't the same.
And that's why we had to move on. We had to move on because we were wanting more and not getting what we want. It's great. The five's been burnt up in there. Great, fantastic for him. But at the end of the day, they made a decision based on your last 2 years, not what you're potentially going to do.
Yeah, and
you didn't have the threat of who's to say that the fact that you weren't lit a fire under your ass? If you weren't ever fired, you'd be possibly lollygagging, and I'm not saying he was loafing or anything like that.
No, I know what you mean.
Say that, but you may never have had that fire to compete, to prove to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And we gave you that by cutting you. We gave you the ability to have that fire, to have that chip. We created the chip. If you by proving us wrong, you go, okay, well, okay, but that doesn't mean because you got a 10-sack season this year with the Miami Dolphins, I believe he's gone to.
Yes.
That if you stayed in the Bucs, you'd get exactly the same because the drive and ambition to prove us wrong wouldn't be there. Your ambition was to keep your job, which for 2 years you hadn't done.
Right. And nothing's wrong with that, guys. It's a business decision. And again, you're going to be in a different system. This could be a blessing, not just for Shaq, but for the Bucs. We just said we get someone else new. They don't have film on. And let's be real, guys. The past 2 years, they knew what Shaq was, and they knew how to deal with him. Maybe he does something different in Miami because of the scheme and the division. But you're right, Slick. It's in a way, it's like Shaq. He should know about it because getting picked up from the Bucs from Denver. Look at who he played behind. He didn't have a chance to be what he was. He was behind DeMarcus Ware and Von Miller. He was never going to start over those guys. So that lit a fire when he got to Tampa. And that's why, hey, in my opinion, he should have won Defensive Player of the Year, 19 and a half sacks. But politics fucked him up. But anywho, yes, I'm actually happy the Bucs moved on. And the same when Carlton Davis came out with that bullshit comment about the Buck fans. Just like, all right, Carlton, just take the bag and go somewhere else and sit down. It's like
what I would say about the I never want to brag on another team's fans because it's not my vibe, but where were these amazing Detroit fans for the last 10 years?
You mean the last 20 years?
I mean, I'm going back to the Megatron. They were probably pretty loud when they had the Megatron year.
They still was losing. They went 0-16 with Megatron.
That's true. But they did get to the playoffs a couple of times and blah, blah, blah. My point being is they were probably loud at those points in time because things were good. Things were good. They weren't bad. They are. I would turn to Carlton Davis and say, go to Ford Field in 2020 and tell me all about it.
Ooh, did you hear that, Carlton Davis, people? Yes.
Look, have a look. Have a look how many people packed out the stadiums. Have a look at how many people do you want to go to probably the most diehard fan base? Probably the Browns, unfortunately. They'll take anything. The Bills are pretty fucking solid too because they got fucking retards play quarterback for them and they still pack out that stadium.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and that's the thing. It's like this, like Carlton, it's easy to say that now, and I understand that. We're very happy for you.
We're all going to play the grass is great. Like, and the reason I say this is because me personally, you know this, that I'm personally going through a thing with my workplace myself that I'm about to be, I'm trying to think of the word that they use in America, laid off.
Mm-hmm.
So I get a nice little severance package and I leave. And we're all talking about, like, I found a new role, another person's found a new role, blah, 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 blah. Nobody's found a new role that's shitter when we're working because no one wants to say that.
Right.
So when you leave, you come back. It's like going to your school reunion. You go to your school reunion, every single person talks about how much of a success they are. Yes. No one's sat there going, well, man, I bummed around for like fucking 25 years. It was great. Got 6 kids.
Yep.
No job. But it's fun, I love life.
Yes. It's like
I'm like fucking the CEO. I'm making money on the stock market. I'm driving an Aston Martin. It's like, fuck off, dude.
Oh, no, you're right. It's literally like everybody is an actor. It's like this. Yes. You're playing a role where you're like, okay, you're saying this. Like you said, I got an Aston Martin. You're leasing that shit, and you're still behind payments. But okay, go on. It's like you're doing all this shit to try to impress us. Carlton, just first of all, you got to stay healthy. No shot to that. But worry about getting acclimated to the team.
You just nailed it there. That's the reason why the Buccaneers moved on. It's not the talent. It's not the talent. It's the fact that he can't stay healthy all season. It also helps. It doesn't help that he has bricks for hands.
Exactly. We've always said you could have been.
Could you imagine how many picks that guy could have had?
Yes.
He would be, if he reeled in the picks that he could have had, there'd be conversations of him being one of the better corners, one of the top 5 corners in football.
Yes. This was him. I call him Hot Hands Hanen from Little Giant. It's just literally like, shit. You'd be like, Carlton, literally, if it was, it's like, look here, man.
He is the living embodiment of go play corner.
Yes.
He's that kid.
Yes.
I'm good. I could play wide receiver, and he's whipping all these routes. It's like, yeah, throw the ball. Boom. Next one.
Boom.
Boom.
Okay.
Next one.
You're playing corner. But coach,
go fuck off to the defense.
Oh, facts. Oh no, I'd literally be like, no, you're a corner. Well, coach, no. You're not hearing me. You're a fucking corner. Go make a tackle. Pack on 15 pounds. Congratulations. This is your position. Oh, you're absolutely right. So that's my entire point. I do think in a way, and that fucking safety we brung back home, my main man. Whitehead. That literally clears so much uncertainty. Now you said it, Slick. You can go in the draft, third, fourth round, and you can pick up a safety now that can rotate.
Rotate, get the development in, spend a bit of time with him.
Yep.
Let him get a taste of football, but you don't have to go. You now need to do everything because that's what happened. That's what happened, right? That's what happened. I mean, the only person you can turn around and say that we nailed in the draft in the safety position is probably Antoine Winfield.
Right, Antoine.
That guy was a legitimate start from day one,
and that's a diamond in the rough, as you said. And where did he make his impact? Like got him in what? The second round, guys. Slick is right. The second and the third round is what make fucking GMs, not just the first. The first, in a way, it's a gimme almost. It's not, and it's not to say a gimme, but it's almost like if you don't hit something that's at least it give you 2 to 3 years, you were just terrible anyway. It's that second, third, and fourth round that goes, oh, you saw shit. Because Chris Godwin could potentially later on down the line, if he gets better, let's say if Chris Godwin for the next 3 years gets 1,000 straight yards. And
I think Chris Godwin's already past the production of his draft class.
I rest my case. At this point,
you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna go have a look and just see. He was drafted 2018. 18, yeah, 2018. Let's have a look at the draft class.
I remember that because that's when people were. Oh well, look at that class with him and Cooper Kupp. And I'm like, look, all right, here y'all go. Here they go with the Cooper Kupp slurping. I'm like, here they go. The guy who only had 1,000 yards and then injuries. I don't give a shit. That's football.
Yeah. All right, let's have a little look. I'm gonna go with let's have a look at the first wide receiver taken off the board and compare. Here we go. DJ Moore.
I'll take Chris Godwin over DJ Moore.
I'll take Chris Godwin over. Yep. We're now in the second round. Cortland Sutton. Moving on.
Rest my case. Yeah.
Dante Pickett. Who? I've never heard of this guy. He went to San Francisco, drafted him. I hadn't even heard of this guy. Deontay, yep. Okay, moving on. Christian Kirk is probably the only notable name.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have a little snoop at him while I. Anthony Miller in the second round. Who? Some of these people don't have jobs anymore. James Washington, name rings a bell, don't know him. Went to the Pittsburgh Steelers, says everything. We're going into the third round now. Michael Gallup, yeah, decent. Michael Gallup, decent, but not
Godwin. Yeah, he's decent.
I would Traquan Smith, New Orleans Saints. Moving on. Coulty, I think Keiki Coulty. No, I know the name, but didn't do a lot. Antonio Callaway.
Nope.
Nothing. Yeah, he had a good couple of seasons and then kind of fizzled out. Deshaun Hamilton. Nope. We haven't even got to our boy yet.
Nope.
I would honestly say, I would argue a good point and say this is probably on that draft class. Chris Godwin might be the best draft pick we got.
Yep.
We know Mike Evans is the best in his class.
Yep.
Maybe it wasn't 2018 because he's not come up yet. Now in the fourth round.
No, he's come. It's 2018. It's 2018 because he came in with Cooper Kupp. Because I remember that. Because
Cooper Kupp hasn't come up on my board yet.
Let me see. I know that Chris Godwin is. He came in the fourth. He came in 2000. Let's see.
I hadn't finished the fourth.
Okay.
I just got into the fourth round. I don't remember him being.
No, I apologize. He was the third round in 2017.
2017. Okay. Cool. That's fine.
I apologize.
But just looking at the wide receivers from that group, Christian Kirk is the dude.
Yeah.
And he was drafted second, 47 overall. So just goes to show you can't guarantee what you're going to get. You know, and that's the thing about the draft. That's like, you look at these players and you go, oh yeah, this person's going to be this. They should be this. Should. I always say to people, I watched a great TV show once. I don't know if they have it over there. It's called The Thick of It.
Yep.
You have a version of it called Veep. I don't know if you've ever watched that. It is based off. It's made by the same bloke, but he did American politics, English politics, and there's a bit in it, and he went, "But the Prime Minister told us to do it." And he goes, "You what?" The Prime Minister told us to do it. And he goes, "Did he tell you to do it?" And he went, "He said we should do it." And he went, "Should." The Prime Minister told you, "Should." What does should mean? He went, "I don't know." What does should mean? You've got a law degree at fucking Oxford and you don't know what fucking should means. And you're like, and it's the guy who plays like the angry the Scottish dude. And it's really, really fucking funny because he swears a lot. And he's like, "Yeah, fucking retard." Fucking brilliant. Have you ever watched it?
I have.
Try and find the thick of it. It is funny. It is funny as fuck. Just for Malcolm Tucker, who is like the spin doctor, and she's like, "I don't know what should means." You went, "You should get the fuck out of here."
Look, common sense is not always there.
Just doesn't mean do. It means it's something I would like to do.
Right.
It's a good idea. It doesn't mean do it. It just means, yeah, we should do that.
Right.
Like, we should go for coffee sometime, AJ. That doesn't mean we're going for coffee. It doesn't mean we're at coffee. It means it's something we could do in the future.
It's a possibility.
It's an idea.
Yes, it's a possibility. And exactly. And that's the reason why people shouldn't always rely on fucking social media things. You have to go by your best instinct and what works for you. It's a beautiful thing. I'm looking at the draft right now of the wide receiver slick in 2017. Oh, the Bucs were fine. The Bucs got off really good. You ever heard of Zay Jones?
Yeah.
That's
I've heard of him. It doesn't mean he was good. It just means I've heard of him.
And Juju,
Mike Williams, Mike Williams for the Chargers is probably the best one so far. John Ross died.
Juju was promising, but then he
Juju was a shame. Juju Smith-Schuster was a shame.
You have Cooper.
They got a little bit more out of him at Kansas City, and then just
Cooper's in the third round.
That should have been a guy who went, "I will stay with Kansas City for as long as you need me, and I will sign for just enough money so I can break bread." Because that guy could have lived, and now I believe he's staring down the barrel of a not being.
Yeah,
is he a free agent right now?
Yeah. Well, the Bucs got Godwin in 2017 in the third round, and he showed out to me when we played the Panthers, and I was like, wow. But yeah, again, the third round, the 2017 receiving core, you might want to say Godwin and Cup, and that's pretty much Josh Reynolds. Josh Reynolds was an
Henry Davis as well. There's some bad names. I'd say it's between Mike Williams, Chris Godwin, and
you got to go with Cooper because if not, you
got to go Cooper Cup in there. Sorry,
you got to go with Cooper because the world likes to. I'll be like, oh my gosh, Slick gave us the best thing about Cooper that one fucking magical season. If anything, Cooper Cup is just the light-skinned Michael Thomas.
I think he's better than the light-skinned
Michael better, Thomas. But my point is, when you have that one season that goes off, now all of a sudden people ride on that shit, but then, they got injured. Nobody gives a shit. That's a part of the game. Adrian Peterson was out for one season.
Some of the greatest players. There's a show in there. Greatest players that never truly played because they got injured.
Exactly.
They're not great because they got injured, because part of the game is playing the game. You can be elite and only play 4 years, then okay, you're elite for 4 years. But it doesn't mean anything because
exactly. And at that point you're guessing, and I don't like selective hype, because if that's the case, well, imagine what Luke Kuechly would have done. Okay, imagine what Barry Sanders would have done. Imagine what Calvin Johnson would have done. Imagine what a lot of people. Imagine what Bo Jackson would have fucking done. I don't want to hear imagine, because then if I say that, like when I tell people that, then they go, "Oh, he wouldn't have did this." Well, look at the trajectory he was on. No. You can't be a selective hype man just because. If you're gonna do that, you have to do that about every fucking body. Just like when people talk about, well, Luke Kuechly was on his way. You don't know that.
I think Luke Kuechly was one of the best linebackers to play the game, and I do think, I do think, but I think the problem was his body wasn't built to play football for the way it was played.
And if that's the case, you know who I think would have been far better, who would have been the second coming of Ray Lewis, and my boy, shout out to Jared, who told me about this and asked me that. I'm like, well, I gotta think about that. Remember Patrick Willis? That motherfucker, Patrick Willis, let's be real. If he would have been able to stay healthy, who knows? Who knows?
We can do this with any player. Like
exactly.
There's so much talent. There's so many. Think of the quarterbacks that get looked over because they don't make lots of plays in preseason, whatever, and they just need a coach to push them and build them into what they are. Like, how many Tom Brady-esque players that could have existed that we'll never know the name of or never hear their name called because the coaches were too busy playing with fucking Phillip Rivers, or insert quarterback's name here because they're like, we got to go win a game and this guy's legit. This guy's got talent, and they get lost in the what?
And they get lost in the sauce. Again, you have your Kurt Warner was a perfect example, a good player, but again, he was looked over. It's so many players that, again, like you said, Slick, that's why I tell people you can't be a selective hype person, because then you're showing me your bias. Oh, because you didn't like him because he didn't play for your team, he couldn't do this. Well, if this is AJ, no. You got to be it's in the now. It's who. That's why Mike Evans is the best of his draft, because he did this. Well, AJ Odell. Well, here's the thing.
Odell hasn't been since he caught that pass, right?
Yeah. My thing is,
I do jest. I do jest in the sense of, like, I'm going to compare like Chris Godwin to Cooper Kupp. So Cooper Kupp does beat him in the touchdown round. In the touchdowns, it's legit. But he also beats him in. Well, one's a bona fide number one, and the other one's a bona fide number two, and they both play like it. So it is what I don't really have a problem with it. Cooper Kupp was selected before, so he should be better on paper. Chris Godwin, longevity. I think longevity could kill this one, because we got a lot of the last couple of seasons just hasn't done it. Whereas Chris Godwin, he's still there. He had one blip of a season, and that was the 2020 season when we were figuring shit out. Ever since then, 1,000-yard season, 1,000-yard season, 1,000-yard season, that 3,000-yard seasons in a row. The touchdowns is what lets him down. He doesn't score a lot of touchdowns, but he's a possession receiver. He's a guy who gets the ball and moves up the field to let people like Mike Evans score and other players. So for me, I'm not too.
He's playing the role that he has been designed to at best. Again, Godwin, as you just said, he's the guy. I'm here to get you up the field. Evans is the finisher. Evans is the cleaner. Evans is your guy. And again, like you just said, Cooper, it's like you're also in a position where you have McVay, who's going to force it to you, just like the Green Bay Packers did with Devontae.
Oh, yeah. Nothing got forced to Chris Godwin.
Nothing
maybe on days if Mike was injured.
Right. And that's why I tell people, when you have a high volume receiver, doesn't mean you're the best. I think it's like basketball. If someone took 100 shots, but they only made 30 of them, are they good? Or you just took a lot of fucking shots? It could be someone who took 20 shots and made 19 of them. That's the real consistent person. Just because you're a high volume. That's why Carlton Davis called Michael Thomas old slant boy. Because what fucking happened when they took that away? That's one thing I told people.
It took a minute for some bizarre reason. The guy ran only like 3 different routes. It took a minute, but once he got figured out, it was done.
He got figured out, and also once Drew Brees started to diminish. That's another thing. He caught Brees when he was in his prime still, but on the downslide. But what happened when age started catching up to him? He couldn't do that. That's another
Well,
thing.
I generally think the issue was in his the last year that they played together was it
Yep.
wasn't the arm of Drew Brees. I think it was the fact that he just wasn't everyone figured him out. Like
Oh yeah, he got figured out
when
too.
someone's never gonna run, if someone's route tree is all in breaking routes, you know that you only have to you want to be on a you want to you want to be on inside shade, maybe a yard off, maybe a yard even a yard more separated to kind of give it a bit more. And then they're gonna cross the face of you just to get open, and then you can play man coverage. As soon as you see him cross your face, come down on it, play it.
And push him off his route. Because once he's get off his route, he doesn't know how to recover. Oh yeah, no, Michael Thomas to me, like I said, guys.
He got I found out because he never ran a deep enough route tree. And this is what we were supposed to have been told by Saints fans. We're like, oh, now he's got a quarterback that can throw the ball. He's got a quarterback who's got a strong arm. He's got a quarterback who's got a cannon. Where was the cannon?
Yeah.
It's not the fact the quarterback didn't have a cannon. It's the fact that he's not that good of a route runner once you get past 10 yards.
And yeah, and once you and then doubling him, you completely took him out of the game. So again, guys, the what if games kill me because I go, well, what if Mike Evans had Brady most of his career? Yeah, exactly. If Evans had an elite quarterback throwing to him, fuck that. If he had someone like Aaron Rodgers who force feeds the ball, I wouldn't be surprised if Evans damn near broke 2,000 yards in one season. That's how much they forced it to Devontae Adams. Can you imagine Aaron Rodgers having a guy like Evans? He'd be like, oh shit, I could just, you talking about Hail Marys, he'll throw it up all the time. And Evans.
That is the biggest problem. That if I was a Packers fan and I look back at like everything, only they spent draft picks on some skill set around him.
Yeah.
They literally had one thing. They developed a good tight. They developed a good tight end. They had a decent enough running game. They never had a true number two that was like lights out that just fucking nailed it compared.
And that eventually caught up to them because you knew when playoff comes around, guys, Slick always
you can't be a one-trick pony. You have to have multiple facets. You have to have multiple threats. You have to have multiple reasons. This is why teams who are running back savvy, when they get to the playoffs, they fizzle out. Why? Because you only have to stop one thing. And no one was fucking worried about Ryan fucking Tannehill. There was only one person they were worried about.
Nope. And
that was number 22.
And that was
King Henry.
And that's it. And then by then,
game's done.
And he's gassed by then because
don't get me wrong. That guy, Ryan Tannehill, he can make plays.
Yeah.
But he can't make plays consistently enough in the playoffs to win a chip. He can't do it.
That's
not. I'm not doubting the guy's talent. It's just you need to have sublime talent around him. But the problem is, there's no. If you're sat there with your team and you are making waves and winning games because of a running back, why would you go and waste money on wide receivers who aren't going to get the ball that often? So you don't. And you end up weakening your team because you don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
You either got to draft them because they're cheap.
Yeah.
Every player's cheap when they're drafted, right?
Right.
Or you go and pay somebody. They didn't want to pay somebody because the mindset of their coach, love him to pieces, is the football play good defense. So where was all the money being spent? Defense.
Mm-hmm.
Defense. What is spent on the offense, bro?
Yep, agreed. And the guys, and then again for running backs like that, Henry's body also took a toll because after 10 attempts, his body is battered. That shit doesn't work because even the great Derrick Henrys of the world, your body, you're human. You're gonna go to shit. And teams in the playoffs usually have stout run defenses, so they're gonna fuck you up even if you get the ball. But I want to go back to what you said about Rodgers. The irony when he won a Super Bowl. You just said it. He wasn't a one-trick pony. People forget Greg Jennings, Donald Driver. He had other pieces, and then again a defense with Clay Matthews, aka Thor, of that time. He had a complete team. That one-trick pony shit is what keeps Aaron Rodgers and his decision making from being great. So, guys,
they don't want to spend any money on bringing anyone in to help him out. Like, if you bring that guy, you have to. All they needed was just one, like a Chris Godwin.
Yeah.
And it probably wouldn't have cost a lot to go get one. Like you could go and steal somebody, trade for somebody else's with a first round pick, and just, you know what? Fuck it, Chris Godwin, first round pick. Buccaneers would have ate that shit up. I'm not lying.
Facts.
We would
Facts.
have ate that shit up. We were like, oh, we got a first round pick. They would have won a fucking shit because
Yeah.
you now have, I can run the ball, I have two viable wideouts, and I have a tight end that's fucking solid. Who are you going to stop?
Yep.
It's a pick your poison, just like the Buccaneers won a Super Bowl based on pick your poison.
Yes, we did. And that's again, if Chris Godwin went to Green Bay with Devontae, Rodgers would have at least 3 Super Bowls because you couldn't stop it. And again, his defense, the
But they
way
would never have paid him. They would have probably spent the draft pick, let him fucking succeed. They win a chip, and then they'd let him walk away, and he'd probably get signed by the Buccaneers again the next year.
and we win. Yeah. So either way, Godwin was destined to be a
Do
Buccaneer.
you know what I'm saying? They lack the smarts of what in the talent. Like, we know that Aaron Rodgers is an extremely talented arm and thought and quarterback and smart quarterback.
Yep.
There's a reason why he's as good as he is. There's a reason why his stats pad out the way they are.
Yep.
Right, and it's not just because of one player. It's because he's that good. The issue always been is he's quite an egotistical player. I don't know if he's one of those ones that changes his contract so that they, like Mike Evans has recently just done for us. I don't see why not, because you turn money into money that you're going to get into money right now. It makes sense for anybody to do it, to be honest.
Yeah.
But they also lack a real ownership that can really take over and control that shit. Who go, look, if we put your contract, we're going to say you're with us forever. You're going nowhere. What we're going to do is we're going to perforate your contract into the next year and the next. Like the Buccaneers, if you would imagine having a franchise quarterback that you can offload his salary into the next year, the next year, the next year, you ain't going to give a shit.
Nope. It's called. They're playing chess and not. And at that point,
that's what happens when you don't have an ownership and a coherent front office.
Mm-hmm.
They got the guy, well, he can do less with more.
Mm-hmm.
He can do more with less. Sorry, and it doesn't happen. You need when you get to playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
You need a run game that can move. It doesn't have to be the best run game. It just needs to be able to move. It needs to be able to get first downs. It needs to be able to keep the first down honest.
Yep.
It needs to keep a defense honest. That's all it needs to do. If you can run away with it, brilliant. If you can't, you've got a passing game. Now you need the cohesive pieces of the passing game. So you bring in a guy who's a 3rd round pick, a 4th round pick that can be your slot guy. You got your tight end, you got your wide receiver, and you got your other wide receiver. Pick your poison, because one of them will eat on any given Sunday, and that's how you win. I'm not saying it's the be all and end all, but that's how you win.
No, but you're
You won't win with just one guy. You won't win with just the running back. You won't just win with the quarterback. You need all of them.
You need a team that's going to be hungry, unless you have a legendary offensive team or a legendary defensive team. But that's why they're fucking called legendary. 2002 Bucs defense, legendary. Steel Curtain, legendary. 2000 Ravens, legendary. 85 Bears. You guys, you can count that on one fucking finger. I know people want to put the Legion of Boom in there. That's still argumentative.
I'll put it in there because of what they did in their Super Bowl.
But there you go. So the whole point is, guys, those are literally once
in one other team.
Yeah, those are once.
You're getting 2 teams.
Yep.
2015 Broncos.
Oh yeah, and then and maybe
and that 2020
Yeah, you can put that in there, but guys, the league has been there for 100 years. What Slick and I just said, that shit has only happened like 7 times. So literally, you're talking about you have to have overwhelming. When you don't, Slick is right. You got to have a sound-minded team, not a sound-minded one side. And I'm glad we're getting into that because Slick, people have been waiting for this. I know you guys are like, yo, we know what we're here for. Now, guys, recently, Aaron Donald has just retired. So, again, shout out to him for leaving the game. Had an illustrious career. Good man. You know, it is what it is. Cool. Now, great player. That is the first thing we're going to get out. That is a great fucking player. Aaron Donald, one of the best defensive players to ever play the game. That's not negotiable. If you say otherwise, you don't know football. However, here's where the kicker comes in. Somebody, and I know they're under 30 or 25 at that, they said, is he the greatest defensive player all the time? Now, this is where I came with the burp, burp. Slow your brakes. Hold on now. Great player. Now, when I say what a great defensive player is, this is what I mean, Slick. Not only that this player was good at his position, but he redefined his position, redefined how people schemed him, how he influenced the game, how he took his to another level, how he changed the game, or they changed their position. So that is my definition of one of the greatest defensive players to ever play the game. And I got a list here, and we're going to go. We want Slick to decide what he thinks. And for you fans out there, please put your information in. And then I got a special guest who gave me their list, and he is a former NFL player, but we'll put him up there later. We're going to get to AJ Turnup's list of all the people that is, I would say, a better defensive player than Aaron Donald was overall, legacy-wise. Here we go. Boom. LT, Reggie White, Prime. If you don't know who Prime is, you didn't watch enough football. That's Deion Sanders. Warren Sapp, Mean Joe Green, Ray Lewis, Sir Rod Woodson, Ed Reed, John Randall, Deacon Jones, Derek Brooks, J.J. Watt, and then we have brother Aaron Donald. We have Aaron Donald. So this is the list. Now, this is what I think.
This is your list. This is your list of love.
Yes, this is the list of the greatest defensive players of all time.
Okay.
So, is there anybody on that list that should not be there?
Yeah, J.J. Watt. Come on,
How
J.J. Watt in his last fucking 4 years was next to just not even close to average.
Are you sure about that? Now, you do know J.J. Watt had his last year, he had 12.5 sacks in 2022.
Did he? 12.5?
Yes.
I did not know that. Oh,
yes.
Stand corrected. If I'm being corrected, I'm being corrected. I'll take
yes.
my lump. I'll take my lumps. Fair play to him. I did not know it was that many, but I know that there are some dead years too.
Oh, he had a dead year in 2021. That was his injury. He had 1 sack. 2017, I think he was out for the season, so he didn't play, I think. But his best years, 2012, 20.5 sacks, 2014, 20.5 sacks, 2018, 16 sacks, 2015, 17.5 sacks. Now, mind you, J.J. Watt did all of that without the help of, okay, you know what?
Okay, this is what I'm talking about here. From 2018 to 2020, 2019, 2020, 2021, straight average.
Hey, look, they have all been there before, because even your Aaron Donald has had some down moments. I mean, okay. he had 5 sacks in 2022.
For a defensive tackle, is not bad.
Hey, look, I'm telling you, but my point
is, how many times has Warren Sapp had 5.5 sacks?
Warren Sapp has had he has had 4 sacks, 4 double-digit sacks in his career.
No, I'm not asking about the down years, brother.
Down years, 07, it was 2. His first season,
the first season I'm not going to count because it's the first season. I'm never going to kick anyone.
04 he had 2.5. 2007 he had 2. And those
he's got about the same, right?
Yeah.
Hang on.
But look,
he's got more seasons where he's had less sacks, but he's also played a lot more seasons, so we'll give him the benefit of the doubt on that one. So he's got 6.5. You should say 6.5 sacks for Aaron Donald.
For Aaron Donald,
5.
Yeah, 5. Aaron Donald had 5 sacks in.
So Warren Sapp's got 5 sacks in 2005, 2003, and then 2.5 in thing. And I'm not going to count the first year because I'm just not.
Yeah.
So I don't have a problem with it. He's a defensive tackle. They're both defensive tackles. I'm okay with Aaron Donald having a 5-year. What I do find is inexcusable is a guy with 1 sack, a guy with 5 sacks, and a guy with 4 sacks.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Christopher Cole is look, you said what I said. If JJ had a better team around him, I want to ask you this, Slick. Who on his team did he have a chance to be great with?
Brian Cushing.
Don't worry, I'll wait.
Brian Cushing.
Don't worry, I'll wait.
Damn, that Brian Cushing compared to what Aaron Donald had.
Who did Aaron Donald have?
Aaron Donald had Ndamukong Suh. Now, do we need
for 2 years?
But that year
we're talking about a career here.
Correct, but he got to a Super Bowl, and here's the thing: when Aaron Donald played in the Super Bowl against the Patriots, which was the worst fucking Super Bowl known to man, he laid an egg. He had no sacks in that Super Bowl. He was a no-show.
How many sacks JJ Watt's got in the Super Bowl? None.
That's because JJ didn't have a team.
JJ Watt had the opportunity to go to any team he wanted. He chose a shit team, and he's been fucking barreling ever since.
No, but you gotta be fair. Great players help because and who else?
Not even close to Aaron Donald.
Who did Aaron Donald finally win a Super Bowl with? Who got him there? We know who the real MVP was in the playoffs for the Super Bowl.
Oh, don't you start with the Von Miller shit.
Von Miller was that dude. Von Miller, the guy with 123 sacks, who's a for sure Hall of Famer.
You know what? I'll tell you what. The most saddest thing is you brought Von Miller and you didn't even put him in your top 12.
Oh, Von Miller, because his story
you think he's worse than JJ Watt. You already told me that Aaron Donald, by you doing your list, that Aaron Donald is a better player, defensive player, than Von Miller because you didn't put him above him.
Oh, I put him up there. I was just throwing that out there just to give love. My thing was, it's not me hating on Aaron.
Von Miller's a better player than JJ Watt.
I don't think so. I think JJ Watt, for what he had, I think JJ Watt did so much more than what he had. And that was my thing. But that's why when people were saying, well, Aaron Donald's the greatest defensive tackle, I said Aaron Donald is the 4th greatest. The other 3 that are better than him is Warren Sapp, Mean Joe Green, you had and John Randall. Then you bring in Aaron Donald.
It's a tough one because now you're going against generations and it's different. I would say that, and I'm going to say this, I would say that Aaron Donald is one of the greatest defensive players from 2010 to 2020 to when he retired. In his 10-year span, he's one of the greats.
But I would say this too. He also played in the era where, here's the thing, all those other guys, those tackles that I just mentioned, they played in a much harder era where here's why. Because this,
kind of comparing basketball players of yesteryear versus the ones of today.
I know that, but a lot of people will say, well, the NFL is much faster. It is, but a lot of these motherfuckers are fiberglass because they get all this treatment and money, but then they're out 5 games when their ankles tweaked. Those guys, Joe Green and all of them, played through the shit. And the reason why I say this, this isn't from physical. This is just also a football standpoint. In the 60s to the early 2000s, what did teams do more, in your opinion, Slick? Most teams. Did they run more or did they pass more?
They ran more.
They ran more. And do you know how fucking hard it is to get sacks when most of your teams run? And mind you,
I'm not going down the conversation of generation versus generation. I just don't know. But look at the current crop, I would say Aaron Donald is one of the top. I would say you can argue him being the top defensive player of his generation.
Of his generation, absolutely. I'm
not going to compare him to Warren Sapp because I know the holes in Donald's game. He's not as good against the run. The one thing that makes him probably better than some people is that he can play pretty much any position on the defensive line. He can. But on the problem with that is Where did he get most of his sacks? I'd love to know. Did he get them from the end position or did he get them from the middle position? Because that's very different sacks.
Yeah, he got him. I think most of his sacks from the I looked it up. He got it most from the middle position as a defensive tackle. Now, here's another little bucket for Buck fans. I used to tell people this because they used to think, oh, Aaron always gave us so many problems. Do you want to know what Aaron's stats are against the Bucs? And he played us 7 times. He had, in 7 games he played us, 3 sacks and 13 solo tackles. That ain't shit. I kept telling people when he played us, we gave him problems, especially during the Jameis Winston era. Now, here's another person. This person has 17 sacks and 2 fumbles in 26 games versus the Bucs. He played 26 games, and I can't believe I got to give this hoe props. You know who that person is? Cam Jordan's punk ass. He did more. Now, I know what people will say, well, he played a lot more, but my point is, do you remember a game, Slick, as a coach where you was like, Aaron Donald just took over? I can give you 4 games where I know Warren Sapp fucking took over.
I think the difference with that is, dude, you're a Bucs fan and you've watched every single Bucs game that he played. I haven't watched that many Rams games, so I can't really answer that question. But I can tell you the ones that Warren Sapp did because I've seen them.
Well, I say this. When I say where it mostly matters, Warren Sapp showed up during the playoffs. I didn't always see that with Aaron Donald. In the Super Bowl, when Sapp played, he made his presence known. In the first Super Bowl, Aaron Donald didn't. And here's another thing that people will say, well, AJ, Warren Sapp had Booger McFarland next to him. Booger McFarland didn't play in the playoffs or the Super Bowl. And do you know Booger McFarland overall in his career? How many sacks you think Booger McFarland has in his overall career, Slick, if you had to guess?
Wow.
Damn. Well, he had 22 and a half. And he only
need the nose. The noses don't usually get a lot of sacks.
Right. And that's why I told people this, because they said, people will say, well, AJ, you're not being fair. You're saying that Aaron Donald had help, so did Sapp. Yes, he did. He had Derek Brooks. He had Simeon Rice. But again, Warren Sapp redefined what a defensive tackle was. And we say that, Slick, because you just said it. He could stop the run, but also Warren Sapp was so fast for his position that you didn't know how to stop that. Offensive linemen did not know what to do with Sapp. It was like, if we double him, he has the speed to get past us. Or if you tried to put 1-on-1, he could overpower you. That's why I say Warren Sapp is the greatest defensive tackle to play the game, because he could do both. He could stop you in the run or the pass. Aaron Donald, I like Aaron, but can you imagine if Aaron tried to play in an era where they ran the ball more? Again, that's why I say John Randall. Do you remember John Randall, Slick?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how many sacks John Randall has? Take a wild guess.
For a defensive tackle back in those days, I'm going to go in the 80s.
137 and a half.
As defensive tackle?
He played defensive tackle, and he also moved around to DN.
Okay, so basically he was like an old school version of Aaron Donald.
Yes. Yeah, he was Aaron before Aaron. That's my point. He was that guy. But you know why John Randall don't get the love he gets?
I don't have Aaron Donald as one of the greatest defensive players of all time. I don't, because
there you go.
I think it's hard to compare eras. I think it's hard to do that, and I think it's better. It's easier to say. I'd rather have the argument between him, Von Miller, and JJ Watt. I think that's the argument that he's in. I don't think he's in the argument for the others. To call someone the greatest of all time is so difficult because I don't think people realize what it means. We're so quick and eager to label somebody the next GOAT. We're doing it. The media's already doing it with Patrick Mahomes, and I'm not saying that he's not that great. Think of the word when you say it. The greatest of all time. When you say it with that magnitude of what it really means, I would say Patrick Mahomes is one of the greatest current quarterbacks in the NFL. He is the greatest current quarterback in the NFL. Could he be the GOAT? Very possible.
Very possible.
You call someone the GOAT when they're at the twilight of their career. They've eclipsed everything that anyone's ever done, and you go, that guy is that you're either in the conversation of being arguably the GOAT or you are the undisputed GOAT, right?
Right.
The yardage, the touchdowns, the chips. Tom Brady leads them all right now. And it's going to take winning in those areas where you can turn around and go, okay, well, he's beaten Tom in this, he's beaten Tom in that, he's beaten Tom in this. Now you have an argument. At the moment, there's no argument.
There's no argument.
He's one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game, and I will say that without a shadow of a doubt. 3 Super Bowls, what he's done in such a short space of time will make him one of the greats. He's already a Hall of Famer. He's already a Hall of Famer.
Already a Hall of Famer. I agree.
Is he the greatest of all time?
And that's what I'm saying. This list right here, guys, this list that I gave you, these players that I am mentioning to you all, not only that, they redefined what they were at their time. LT, enough said, Slick. You know about LT. LT was so damn good that he literally is one of the reasons why you got to have a chip blocker in there. Reggie White, enough said. That's another guy who was Reggie White was ahead of his time. Prime, enough said. Prime was so good when you can piss Jerry Rice off.
It's the athleticism that he showed. And I think that's what made him special. Is just the pure athleticism of what he could do, and then the confidence to back it up.
Yes, and when you can piss Jerry off, you know you've made it. That's like frustrating Jordan or some shit where you just go, I got him upset. Ray Lewis changed the game of middle linebackers because not only he could cover, but he'll kill you. He'll hit you.
I think that's what we all thought Devin White was. We got the second coming. With Devin White, it never happened.
Yeah, take your ass to Philly and eat all them cheesesteaks and get fat. But anywho, Ed Reed, Rod Woodson, we talked about Rod Woodson earlier. You went from playing a corner to a safety, and you mastered both. Ed Reed, arguably the greatest safety to play the fucking game because we already know he'll pick you off in your own end zone and then run it back.
And he was physical enough to play the game. Yeah, I mean, you're not like with your list. The only one I have a problem with realistically is JJ Watt.
All right, Slick. Damn, Slick, you didn't. Okay, guys, see, this is how you know we and Slick, we was here. This is football shit. This is good. You didn't disagree. Now,
I don't like JJ Watt. I do like me some JJ Watt. I just think the fizzle out that he had takes his argument away.
All right.
He's been more consistent in those 3 years where he was just not doing a lot.
Yeah.
Let's face it, some of those years was on a team that he picked to go to. It's not like he could have picked to go to fucking New England for a fucking dollar and won back to back championship. And we sit here, me and you, as the amount of times you must have thought to yourself where you see I'm gonna go and pick my team, and you're like, okay, where are you gonna go, bro? And he goes, I'm like Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams had the pick of the litter. He could go anywhere he wanted. Anywhere. Because you could turn around and go, yeah, well, this person can afford him. They couldn't afford him. That person can afford him. That. If you want to play, you'll find a way. And not only that, if you want to get a chip, you'll go to the team that you believe will get you there. You don't go to fucking Arizona. You had anywhere to go. Who was it? Who was it at Arizona? The wide receiver, I forgot his name.
Hopkins?
DeAndre Hopkins. You go to any team. Where did you want to go? I know what I'll do. I'll go to Tennessee. You can go anywhere. Why don't you turn around at Aaron Rodgers and go, I'll sign for a nickel? Instant championship, almost.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of places where you go, I'll be a chief for the year. And I'll sign for fuck all. But I'll be that fucking good. I'll get my chip, I'll walk away, and then I'll go and sign another big contract. Because the worst part is when you see a lot of players who do finally get the chip, but they do it as on such a reduced capacity on the team where they barely.
Odell.
I mean, luckily for him, he showed up in that game. Had he not shown up in that game, it's even worse. But a good example would be the Philadelphia running back that we had for a while.
What?
No, the Philadelphia one. The other one. The one that was Murray.
Yeah. LaShawn McCoy?
No, yeah, LaShawn McCoy. Was it McCoy we had for a year?
Yeah,
He
and he won one the year before with the Patriots. I mean, with the
Yeah,
Chiefs.
yeah, yeah, with the Chiefs. So he has 2 Super Bowl rings that he did nothing on him. So it's like they mean nothing. So when they
Yep,
go and put you in the Hall of Fame and they go, this guy should be a Hall of Famer. Why? He's got 2 Super Bowl rings. He did nothing to earn in those 2 Super Bowl
he
rings.
just was
I
there.
would honestly turn around to you and say to someone who'd said that, well, if that's the case, then we got to put in the Philadelphia quarterback that got injured for his ring because he did a lot more in that fucking season than LaShawn McCoy did in any season
Yes, he did.
with his ring.
And again, as you said, you got it. That's why you can't always look at certain stats. You have to go over. You didn't even know that John Randall had that many sacks,
Nope.
and he did that in the era where
I generally thought that Warren Sapp was one of the highest because he was a pure pass rusher that could play the run.
I mean he's
Hadn't
still
really
there.
been seen that much, and plus, obviously, the passing game was starting to eat up a little bit more, but not massively.
Well, again, Warren Sapp is that guy that just changed the game because of that position where it's like if you don't double him, shit. Can you imagine if Warren Sapp played in today's game? He'd have 150 sacks. In this era, you're not going to stop him. But and now I want to go to this list, guys. Former NFL player James Canada. Follow him on Twitter.
Ooh,
He
is that
his list.
I thought it might be JC.
Yep, this is his list.
Okay. I love that. I love seeing Sammy in there. That's awesome. Aaron Donald. He's got he. You can tell. You got to remember that him and Aaron Donald played the same position. So
Yes.
yeah, that's why you're gonna have a lot of love for that.
I
dude.
mean, look, we sort of got the same thing. I mean, we got
You both got the Reggie White, you both got the LT, you both got the Warren Sapp, you got the John Randall. I'm surprised Simeon Rice is as high as he is. I think there are other pass rushers that I maybe would have gone with more, but I think that's a fucking solid list.
There it is. I just said this is look, guys. AJ Turnup is here. Slick and we're here. We know our legends and we know the game. We don't not just because we're Buck fans, but we love the game of football. As you see, there like Warren Sapp is revered all over. Don't worry about the narratives because another thing, Slick, when we were growing up, we didn't have the technology as much as we do today.
Mm-hmm.
Watching Warren Sapp and these guys, you knew them through word of mouth, and you had some ESPN moments, but the thing, especially in the States, Slick, what happens is if I show you the same shit over and over, if you don't have the discipline to stand on your own words and business, you will eventually will fold. Well, this person, they show him all the time, so he has to be the best when you know that's bullshit. But if you don't have the discipline to say, I don't care what they say, you're gonna fold. And that's what a lot of fans are doing today. They're victims of it's in your face every day because they're talking about it, not realizing that Slick would say that's fluff talk. You let them say their shit. You know that because a lot of NFL players will say the opposite. That's cool. They don't know what they're talking about. This is who we revere. Levante David's one of them. Levante doesn't get the love he gets from the media, but NFL players say, the fuck? Levante David is one of the best. And he will. And here's another thing. This is why, Bobby Wagner went to the Washington team. Let's see what he's like. I bet you Levante has a better season. And I don't want to hear, well, he's on another team. I don't want to hear that shit. I bet you Levante will outplay him because Levante was the better player. It's just Levante is someone that you can't write a lot about because he's not drama. The same with Mike Evans. When these guys are more humble, living life, and they're not IG honeys like your Odells with different hairstyles and jumping in pools with other men laying on boats and shit, that's not enough to cover. Or as you would say, Slick, certain positions aren't sexy. If you are a guy that's just meant to stuff the run, you're not going to be remembered like your Von Millers. If you're a Vita Vea or a Nagata or those type of guys, you're the dirty work. You're the guy who makes other people look good. But later on, professionals will say, no, if it wasn't for this guy, you wouldn't have this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If Sapp was not on the Buccaneers roster, Simeon Rice doesn't have the career he has. He doesn't. He needed a guy like that.
I think the best way of putting that, they needed each other.
Yep. Yeah, you could say that.
There were probably times where they were like, "We need to deal with fucking Sammy and Rice because this motherfucker's fucking doing us." So
Yeah.
they'll go, and that's when and it's vice versa. And then you got Booger McFarland, he's doing what his thing. Any given, and then the other pass rusher that you would have had on the other side, it's not always about the one guy always making it. It's sometimes about the guy who they decide who's going to be the threat, and then how the game plan goes. So your game plan for Warren Sapp. Now fucking Semi and Rice is the one that's used. Now you're adjusting. The problem is your adjustment didn't work because now the other one's leaking through.
Yep. And now, oh shit, Derek Brooks is over here. Shit, I forgot Derek Brooks is out there. He can cover everybody. All right, we're gonna throw over his head. Oh shit, John Lynch is gonna kill that guy. Dexter Jackson's gonna kill him. Wait a minute, Rondé can blitz too. Well, guys,
it's been nice.
Right. We just hope their offense is some shit. That is what, to me, defensive players are. And I love Derek Brooks is the Tim Duncan of linebackers. He is the consistent fundamental by the book, and he gets shit done. He's one of the best. The simple fact that him, Leroy Selman are in the top 100, we've won. Slick, Buck fans, you've won. You got 2 Buccaneers in the top 100 greatest players. We've won. We're here. Do I think Derek Brooks could have been in the 70s or 60s? Yes, but that I don't care. He's there. Sapp should have been in there too.
Yeah, I think Sapp should have been there, to be honest.
He should have been in there, but again, politics and how narratives. Because if Sapp was more the nice guy that people,
if Sapp didn't have this problem with NFL Network, it probably would have went down some way. If he was still serving on the NFL panels like he was back then, he would be in that conversation.
And again, and selective, because when Aaron Donald used to be on his bullshit, I said this earlier to one of my buddies. To me, sometimes Aaron Donald was the Draymond Green of defensive tackles. He'd go out there and start some shit, and then it's like, Aaron, you're a 6 foot 240, 250, whatever. Them linemen are 6'5", 300 and something pounds. If they wanted to fuck you up, a lot of them could, buddy. Calm down. He's the same guy who will swing a helmet at somebody, but has let's have world peace on the back of his helmet. That's another thing about Aaron that used to piss me off, because he's that slick. You've a coach. You've seen players where it's like, okay, don't act super. We understand you're a tough guy, but those other guys are just as tough. And if they're holding back and you get knocked the fuck out, I can't help you. I've had to tell players that if you get your ass beat, Coach AJ can't help you. That dude is 6'4". He has another 180 pounds on me. All I can do is pray. That's all I'm gonna have to do. But Aaron Donald is an asshole sometimes as well. But again,
I'm not a big fan of his personality on field. Yeah, he
could be an asshole, and that's what I say. But it's selective hype, because he was so trapezic and muscular at his position. All right, that's cool.
I mean, he was. I give him that. But that's not why you give him.
Right. I don't
care. Like people say LeBron James should be one of the greats because he's just got really good muscle tone. It's like, is he a bodybuilder? No. He competed for a bodybuilding championship? No. So why are we having this conversation?
Right. Why?
I've seen Aaron Donald. I'm like, fucking fair fucking play. He is a good example of how I like to wind up my rugby friends, because they're like, yeah, there's this rugby guy and he's so fucking strong. He can bench this. I'm like, Aaron Donald. Watch him bench a car. He'll bench a car or some shit.
Facts. Look, hey.
Yeah, so he's my good example of like, he's a work hard kind of guy, and that's it. That's his vibe. And we all know that he is one of the greatest defensive players of his generation, for sure. They're like, no one can take that away from him.
No, not at all. We're not going.
I'm not going to go down the all-time thing, because I think once you go down the all-time thing, you can never come back, because it all depends on the era you watched. It comes down to the era that you respect the most, and then it all gets convoluted. So there's going to be guys from the 80 years old going, well, what about this guy? And it'll be a guy that we've never heard of. It was a fucking absolute stud.
Yeah, look, and that's why I wish Rick was here, because I would love to hear what he would say. He'd be like, you guys, you forgot about him. And I can see him saying, who cares? They were all great in their own way. that would be Rick.
He's there watching it, that motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly. Probably laughing like, I'm gonna kick his ass when I catch him again. But guys, thank you. That was actually good, Slick. You caught me off guard with that. I like that though. That was excellent. And guys, we're gonna try to have James Canada back on here, but this is his list again for you guys out here. It's a good ass list, man. I like it. I like it. The simple fact that he got Sapp and Randall up and Reggie, we here. But thanks a lot, guys. I'm gonna get myself together because I know you gotta get ready for work, and so do I. But guys, thank you so much for watching the Bucs Report on 102.9 Game Broad Street South Radio. Again, always come check us out. We always got some good shit to talk about. It's always Bucs, but again, we talk about football. Feel free to come in and express your opinions. If you disagree, come on in. If you agree, come on in. Either way, we want to hear your aspect of it too. And again, you can always check me out on my personal podcast on It's About Bucking Time. Check me out on AJ Turnup. Get some good merchandise on my Instagram. Check the link. But as always, go Bucs and Slick. You take care of yourself, homie.
We got so, brother. I'll see you soon.
See you soon.
Okay, guys, that's pretty much the end of the show. I want to thank everyone for watching. People who participated in the comments, appreciate you endlessly. Keep doing so. And like AJ said, if you guys ever want to come on and just vent, talk about you disagree with someone, you just want to have a word about something, you've seen someone in free agencies, there's someone you like in the draft, you want to talk about it, let us know. We'll drop your link. You guys can come here on screen, or you can just type it up and we'll respond to it that way. With me personally, a lot of people, you might know me, might not know me. I'm an American football coach in the UK. I'm the assistant defensive coordinator and defensive backs coach for the Sandwell Steelers. And we just came off our first preseason game where we walloped Dallas Valley Eagles 42-7. So I've just literally been pouring the last few days over film. And unfortunately, as good as the victory was, there's a lot to clean up. They just weren't good enough, and we need to be better. It's that simple, because we go into a division where we are considered the whipping boy. We're considered the whipping boy. It's the toughest division in our conference. It's the toughest division in our conference. So we have got a lot of work that we want to put ahead and make sure that we can walk away with some wins and hopefully a ring at the end of this bad boy. So without further ado, guys, thank you for everyone who's jumped on the show. Thank you everyone who's commented, and hope you all have a good weekend. Easter's around the corner, and go Bucs. Bucs on me, Bucs on free. 1, 2, 3. Go Bucs.